The Cradle of Aviation Museum is an aerospace museum located in Uniondale, New York on Long Island to commemorate Long Island's part in the history of aviation. It is located on land once part of Mitchel Air Force Base, which, together with nearby Roosevelt Field and other airfields on the Hempstead Plains, was the site of many historic flights. So many seminal flights had occurred in the area that by the mid-1920s the cluster of airfields was already dubbed the Cradle of Aviation. The origin of the museum's name, Long Island, the Cradle of Aviation. Aviation firsts that contributed to Long Island's nickname, the Cradle of Aviation. 1873 first recorded flight over the island, a balloon piloted by W. H. Donaldson from Brooklyn to Queens Village. 1874 more balloon flights from New York City to Lynbrook and Lynbrook to Hempstead. 1909 Glenn Curtis flies a plane 25 miles from Mineola and wins the Scientific American Prize. 1910 The International Aerial Tournament is held at Belmont Park. 1911 Cal Rogers makes the first transcontinental airplane flight from Sheepshead Bay to California in the Van Fizz. 1916 First night flight. 1917 First flight of pilotless aircraft, the Sperry aerial torpedo. 1919 First transatlantic crossing by an airship, which arrives at Roosevelt Field from England. 1923 First non-stop transcontinental airplane flight from Mitchel Field to San Diego, California by John A. McCready and Oakley G. Kelly. 1924 First round-the-world flight arrives at Mitchel Field. 1927 First solo transatlantic flight by Charles Lindbergh from Roosevelt Field to Paris, France. 1927 First transatlantic passenger flight by Clarence D. Chamberlain from Roosevelt Field to Eisleben, Germany. 1929 First blind instrument flight by Jimmy Doolittle at Mitchel Field. Instruments developed by the Sperry and Colsman Companies of Long Island. The Cradle of Aviation Museum's first curator, William K. Kaiser, participated in an aviation first as one of the pilots on the first transatlantic crossing of non-rigid airships in 1944 as a young ensign in the United States Navy. For his educational contributions and curatorial work at the Cradle of Aviation Museum, Kaiser was named a Jimmy Doolittle Fellow and an Ira Rika Fellow by the Air Force Association Aerospace Education Foundation in 1986. Museum origins. The first Cradle of Aviation Museum newsletters were published periodically by the Friends of Nassau County Museum when the Air Museum itself was still just a dream of Kaiser and George C. Dade, the museum's first director. Along with Henry Anholzer of Pan American Airlines and a team of volunteers, they acquired and restored numerous aircraft. These aircraft reflected some of Long Island's aviation firsts and its local aerospace industry. The first acquisition was a World War I Curtiss JN-4D discovered in an Iowa pig barn by Dade in 1973. Apparently, Lindbergh later confirmed that this was his very first airplane. According to the spring 1979 newsletter, the museum also had a Ryan Broom, Republic P-47N Thunderbolt, Republic CB, Grumman F-11A Tiger, and a Grumman Lunar Module spacecraft. These aircraft were destined to occupy hangars 3 and AMP-4 of Mitchel Air Force Base, which was acquired by Nassau County when the base closed in 1961. The museum originally opened with just a handful of aircraft in the unrestored hangars in 1980. A major renovation and expansion program in the late 1990s allowed the museum to reopen in a state-of-the-art facility in 2002. Aircraft. Today the museum contains over 60 aircraft and scale models of airplanes from various time periods, including Charles Lindbergh's Curtiss Jenny, in which he barnstormed the A-10 Thunderbolt II, and Grumman F-14 Tomcat, and an actual unused Apollo lunar module, LM-13. LM-13 was scheduled to land on the Moon with the Apollo 18 mission, but with the mission's cancellation it remained on Earth, and close to its birthplace in the Grumman Aircraft Engineering Corporation facility in nearby Bethpage, New York. Many of the tour guides and restoration workers formerly worked at Grumman, which contributed much to the museum. The museum is one of the more popular air and space museums in the United States and is well known for its innovative installations, including unique audio-visual, hands-on and interactive exhibits. The museum's longtime curator, Joshua Stoff, is a well-respected author in aviation circles. In addition to the museum itself, the complex houses the Jet Blue Dome Theater featuring IMAX 70mm format films, as well as a state-of-the-art digital planetarium, and the Red Planet Cafe, decorated to look like a space station on Mars. The museum continues to install new exhibitry related to various Long Island topics to this day. Gallery.